Hi, my name is Abo. Today we are going to learn how to make kick drums out of pretty much anything anything you like using the SSF. And I have this project here, which is basically just a loop. And I made the kick drum here using Flex. If I mute off the effects and play this to you, so it's basically just a clarinet. You can see the name here. But I made a kick drum out of it, so the kick sounds like this, and believe it or not, but this is the same sound. And I made this using the SSF, of course, and it kind of amazes me too what you can do with this plugin, because I was just playing around with it today morning, and I came up with this idea that if I use the bandpass filter and modulate the cutoff every beat, I get this using the resonant at the max setting. I get this kick kind of sound for pretty much everything. And I played around with it for a while and decided to make this video for you guys if you want to experiment with making kicks out of random sounds. So as I played you, the sound itself sounds like this without any effects. I drew this MIDI pattern here, so it's basically just playing the D note once every beat. So it's pretty low, so the sound doesn't sound like a clarinet anymore, even though I've muted all the effects. What I did first, I added one SSF using the volume mode. I shaped the sound to a kick length. So it's really fast using this curve slider here. You can hear if I turn it up. You can start hearing more of the tail. So now I have basically just the transient of the sound. And then that creates the kick sound is another SSF after the first one. And this one is using also modulation with sync and one modulation per beat. And using the bandpass filter here, if you don't know what bandpass filter is, it's basically just a curve of this shape in the frequency spectrum, and frequencies below this curve will be passed through the filter and everything else will be cut out. So the higher the resonance, the tighter or more narrow the band is in the frequency spectrum. So now that I have the resonance all the way up, it's this really narrow band which the sound passes through. And using this max slider here in the cutoff, I turned it down somewhere around here, which is where the transient of the kick starts. So maybe we can actually find a kick sample somewhere. Yeah, this one. Well, you can see what I mean from this shape. So as you can see, the frequency in a kick drum is first tighter. So the smaller the gap between these lines here, the higher the frequency. So long gaps means lower frequency. And you can see at first the frequency is higher, and as the kick drum plays, it becomes lower basically. This one isn't probably the best example, but it's the idea here what I'm doing with the SSF. So first the narrow bandpass starts from a higher frequency, and then as the kick plays out, it turns the cutoff down, so the sound becomes lower frequency. So that's basically the theory behind this kick drum trick using the SSF. So now when I play the sound to you first with only these two SSFs, so I have this volume modulation one here, and then this bandpass filter modulation here. Also with this one I turned the curve of the decay down, so the modulation happens faster at first and then slows down towards the tail of the kick. So I'll play now to you the original sound with only these two SSFs, and maybe now you'll start hear that it is starting to sound like a kick drum should. I think that's so cool, because without the SSFs it's only a clarinet, and now it's suddenly a kick drum, so I think it's pretty cool. And this rest of the effects here is just to push the kick a little bit through the mix, so it sounds a little bit chunkier, if you will. Yeah, so that's a kick drum. Now when you have this effect chain here, you can basically experiment with different sounds. So maybe I'll play it and see what results we get from other sounds here in the flex. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. You can make kick drums out of anything. Of course, you cannot. This is only once a beat. So if you want some kick drum variations, you might have to bounce one kick as a sample and use that. If you want to design kicks this way, it might be more flexible in that way, that you can use the kick in different places of the track, not only every beat. So yeah, then the kick in the mix doesn't actually sound like a clarinet anymore, so it fits well in the track. So I'll play it to you so you can hear and imagine if you could guess that the kick drum is actually a clarinet. Before I go, one more thing about the SSF is that actually today I made a trial version available, actually for both Windows and also for Mac. So you can basically evaluate the plugin before you commit. It's actually really quick to do. You just go to sixsample.com/SSF, scroll down to the place where you can, I think it's Get Started button, where you can buy the plugin, and below that there's these two buttons which says something like trial for Windows and trial for Mac OS, and the website downloads directly the trial for your computer, so you don't have to go through any checkout processes or anything. You can just run the installer and start experimenting with the SSF. For example, start making kicks like this from basically any sound. One thing about the trial is that although it has all the functionality that the full version has, it mutes the sound for a few seconds every 40 seconds. So that's the only difference between the trial version and the full version. And just to remind, the SSF is also still on sale, so $19.95, normally $24.95, so 20% off this February only. But also, if you are happy with the version where the sound mutes for a few seconds in 40-second intervals, you can also use the trial version and be happy with that. I don't mind. So yeah. Yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.